Hello and welcome. Today's guest is Robert Schuler Smith, District Attorney for Hinds County. Robert Schuler, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Robert, you recently completed your first 30 days on the job. Tell me about that experience.
It's been a wonderful experience. We have spent the last 30 days organizing our office.
Okay.
Our assistants have been getting familiar with the victims,
Okay.
as well as all of the files in the office.
Okay.
We have been making sure that we have all of the tools to operate,
Okay.
and communicating with all law enforcement agencies, judges. So we've been really busy.
Well, did you have to hire a whole new staff?
Almost an entirely different staff.
Okay.
We did keep some from the previous administration. So we have a pretty good office, an excellent office, in fact, a very competent staff of attorneys.
Yes.
And we're very proud of our office, and they're going to represent the citizens of Hinds County very well.
That is wonderful. Well, you know, I remember on the day you were sworn in, later that day on the evening news, you were seen in court. So you sort of hit the pavement running.
Exactly.
What was that case about?
That was the defendant, Stanley Cole, who's accused of murdering Latasha Norman, the Jackson State University student.
Okay.
That was a hearing that was held at 1:30, which was a few hours after my swearing-in ceremony.
Right.
And then immediately after that, there was a press conference where the governor announced $3.5 million to assist Hinds County
wow. Okay.
with prosecuting our cases.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
So tell me, when does Latasha Norman's case go to trial?
That case is scheduled to go early this summer. We hope to move it up, but of course it all depends on the judge's schedule.
Okay. So are you pretty sure you're going to get a conviction?
Oh, we're very confident.
Oh, really?
We had a preliminary hearing that day, and the evidence was overwhelming. And so we're very confident that we went back to court a week ago, and his bond was denied. So originally he had a $250,000 bond, and we took that up again, and he has no bond.
Good. So he will not be getting out before trial.
He will not be getting out before trial.
Or possibly never again.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, what about the R.J. Washington's case? When will it go to trial?
That is expected to go early summer as well, hopefully April or May.
Oh, really? So both cases will go forward this summer?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
We're hoping to move all of our cases very quickly.
Well, are you seeking the death penalty in either case?
Well, we are not allowed to seek the death penalty because upon looking at his age, the defendant was 17 years of age at that time on the R.J. Washington case.
Oh, okay.
Stanley Cole is charged with murder and not capital murder.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, that makes the difference. Robert, one of the things that you talked about on your platform was the revolving door of repeat offenders.
That's correct.
Right. What measures are you taking to stop that from happening?
Well, the first month, we convicted a guy by the name of Mr. Hewlett, who had a history that was just out of control. He had 10 convictions, but had never served a significant amount of jail time.
Is that right?
And so the first time he came across our desk, we took him to the courtroom, and he's serving 15 years in prison now.
Wow.
So we're very proud of that. And
yeah,
what we're doing is identifying those repeat offenders, making sure that we flag those, and make sure they get the jail time that they deserve.
Okay. So back to the $3.5 million that the governor has committed. Tell me, how would that money be spent?
Well, that money would be spent in different ways. One for prosecution, the other for law enforcement, and the other for personnel and another judge to help us with our backlog.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you. Would that help with the backlog of cases?
that would help us ease the backlog. And we're very proud that the governor had confidence in our office to give us that assistance. That's a lot of money. It
is absolutely a lot of money. When will you actually receive that money?
We're in the process of receiving that money this month.
Oh.
So we should be hiring new assistant DAs, and they already have 4 special circuit judges.
Okay.
So we'll be working very, very soon.
Okay. I understand that you're doing other things to clear your backlog of cases, like going through some of them, seeing which ones really have a good chance of being convicted.
That's correct. There are files that go back to 1996, and some that go back even further than that.
Oh, really?
Where some of the witnesses are not available.
Okay.
Some of the evidence is not available.
Okay.
And other problems exist, but those cases must be removed from the docket.
Right, exactly. So that's wonderful. So you're clearing up the docket by doing that.
Yes, we're working hard to clear it up.
That is wonderful. Okay, well, we're going to take a break right here, and we'll be right back.
This show is sponsored in part by Performance Insurance, Kim Hackett, owner. Phone 601-354-5466. Free prescription cards and instant discounts. Phone 800-865-1450 or log on to www.rxcard.biz.
We are back with District Attorney Robert Schuler Smith. Robert, I understand that you recently spoke at an elementary school in Jackson. Can you tell me about your speech?
It was a wonderful time. It was exciting to see the elementary school kids engaged in what I was doing. They all wanted to go to college.
Oh, great.
So we were talking about different experiences and how education applies to real life.
Yes.
And so everyone had an idea of what they wanted to do.
Great.
Some wanted to be police officers, some wanted to be doctors, some wanted to be involved in sports. And so we actually went almost past lunch.
Oh, really?
Because every kid had their hand raised just about because we were very involved.
They were very engaged.
That's right, very engaged.
That is wonderful.
So we had a wonderful time there.
That is wonderful. Now, let's talk about evidence. You always talked about how evidence is crucial in terms of how it's handled in a case.
Absolutely.
Right.
It is very important for the jury to understand and attorneys to understand that evidence comes in different forms.
Okay.
Under the law, both circumstantial evidence and direct evidence is treated the same.
Okay.
And sometimes, or oftentimes, when a circumstantial evidence case is presented, some people believe that that is not enough evidence.
Right.
But a circumstantial case is just as good, and the weight of that evidence is the same under the law.
Oh,
and
really?
It's very, very important for people to understand that.
Okay. And in terms of the police department, because I think I remember someone saying that a lot of times the reason why cases did not go to trial was because the evidence wasn't handled properly or something of that nature. That
is true. Sometimes you'll have a case, for example, where someone will confess to that particular crime. And it is very important for law enforcement to understand that when you get a confession, it has to be reliable and credible.
Right.
And you don't stop there once you get a confession. If you have evidence that's laying right there beside you, you get that evidence because you have to present that as well.
Okay.
So you can never have enough evidence.
Okay.
Whatever evidence is available, whether it's circumstantial or direct evidence or physical evidence,
right.
You need to present that to the jury to make sure that you give them a clear picture of what happened that day.
Right. Okay. Have you talked to the Jackson Police Department in terms of, training them on how to collect evidence? Or anything?
I have. We have been going over different procedures
and
helping them to understand what our office is looking for, and what it is and what it means to present a circumstantial case and a direct evidence case. And so we are helping the police department to understand how our office is going to try cases in the future. And so I think once we spend enough time together, we'll both work very well together.
Robert, you once said that being a defense attorney was an advantage. Can you tell me that?
Absolutely. As a defense lawyer, of course, the prosecution has the burden of proving their case.
Right.
So when I was defending someone, I would see some of the mistakes that the prosecuting attorney would make, as well as the law enforcement officer.
Right.
So I had a clear picture of some of the things that they needed to do.
Okay.
And sometimes you'll get feedback from your audience. And so some of the experiences that I've had as a prosecutor and a public defender, I was a public defender for Hinds County for about 5.5 years. Okay. Gave us some invaluable experience regarding trials and prosecution.
Okay. Well, that's great. Robert, is there a drug rehabilitation program with the district attorney's office?
Yes, we do have an active drug court program.
Okay.
Where those who are screened for that program will be admitted to that program. Okay. And there's a graduation for those who successfully complete the program.
Is that right?
And the graduation is similar to other graduation programs and ceremonies, and it's been a very successful program.
Well, that's great.
And we have other programs that are not necessarily drug programs, but pretrial diversion programs that gives one an opportunity to have a probationary status, and once they successfully complete the probationary status, they're allowed to have their records cleared for certain crimes.
So how do they qualify for each of those programs?
Well, in drug court, we have a coordinator and a counselor who reviews the applications. And once that application is reviewed, it's also reviewed by one of the assistant district attorneys or myself, and we decide who will be admitted. Okay. And once that person is admitted, they will commit to a number of years to that program, and from there, we hope that they will successfully complete the program.
Okay. So does it work for first-time offenders typically?
Typically, we do look for first-time offenders, but of course, that's not the rule. Okay. We try to figure out who needs the help, because sometimes people may fail the first time. Okay. And that's understandable. That's something that's a life experience. And so we just try to open it up to help those who really need the help.
Okay. Do you think that if we were to reach young people when they're young, do you think that would prevent them from going to prison or ending up in jail later in life?
Absolutely. That makes a very, very big difference. Someone who the children can talk to, someone who they can seek for guidance, someone who can take them to church, someone who can take them on a tour, on a trip. Right. Children need older and wise adults to help them throughout their academic pursuit. Yes. So it's very important that parents get involved and other people who are interested to get involved, other professionals.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
This show is also sponsored in part by Dr. Samuel F. Brown, Central Mississippi OBGYN Associates, 1860 Chadwick Drive, Suite 300, CMMC Medical Building, phone 601-376-2999. Big Mama's All-Day Buffet. Choose from meats, vegetables, salads, and more. On McDowell Road. Hair Care 101, 4310 North State Street. Phone 601-982-9432. Get your business highlighted right here. Become a sponsor by sending your email to terrilynshow@yahoo.com.
We are back with Hinds County District Attorney Robert Schuler Smith. Robert, tell us about your upbringing.
Well, I was raised in West Jackson, near Ellis Avenue and Provine High School, Jackson State University.
Okay.
My parents, Dr. Roy Smith and Alice Smith. My mom was a school teacher.
Okay.
And so she would get on us pretty hard by doing our schoolwork.
Yeah.
So our grandfathers were very, very active in our lives.
Okay.
And so we had a pretty good upbringing.
And both of your grandfathers were named Reverend Smith. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. Both grandfathers were in the ministry. Of course, Reverend Robert L.T. Smith was a minister, businessman. I said during his recreational time, he would spend a lot of time in the country. Yeah. Where he would take us and make us work all day in the hot sun. But we appreciate that.
Yes, of course.
Working from 5 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the afternoon of the evening.
Wrong with hard work.
Hard work. So we were out in the garden with the Kaiser blade and the hoe and the blades, and we worked all day. So that helped us out a little bit.
Of course. Well, I understand that he had friends with several civil rights leaders. Can you tell me about that?
That's correct. I have a picture that's very dear to me, my family, and friends. And it's a picture where he's standing next to Martin Luther King and Ralph Abernathy and others.
Oh, really?
And he was very, very involved in the civil rights movement. That was something that he was very passionate about. Yes. And that is something that is very dear to me as I go to court. Yes. Because, of course, that stands for justice. Right. And a lot of things that reflect our society, some of those things are a result of what happened in the courtroom.
Right, exactly. Did he run for office at one time?
Yes, he ran for office in, I believe, 1964, ran for Congress. And, of course, a lawsuit arose out of that particular situation.
Oh, is that right?
Because he tried to run advertising on WLBT, and he was refused. Oh. And so, as a result of that, he had to hire a lawyer. Right. And he also had to go before the president and his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt.
Oh, my goodness.
And they had to investigate and come up with findings that there was a case of discrimination. And so once they found that he was discriminated against, they filed a lawsuit against WLBT. They were successful. Their license were terminated. And that's when WLBT became black majority stock ownership.
Wow. So he played a major role in WLBT becoming black owned, I guess you can say.
That's correct. He sure did. He was very passionate about black businesses and leadership as well, being able to participate and being treated equally and fairly.
Well, that is wonderful. So what inspired you to become an attorney?
Well, several things. It all began with once I was almost kidnapped, and I believe that had to do a lot with the civil rights movement.
Are you serious?
I was outside playing football with a friend of mine. We were just throwing the football on a vacant lot, and two gentlemen, I guess I can call them gentlemen, I'm being very nice, tried to run over us. No. The next day, I was coming off the school bus, and as I was walking towards the front of the school bus to get off of the bus, I could see these same guys through the rearview mirror in the gray Jeep that they were in the previous day. Oh, my God. So I was trying to make a decision as to whether I was going to get off the bus or stay on the bus. And to tell you how a small child thinks, that I was fourth grade at that time. Wow. The lady that was driving the bus, I said, well, I don't want to get her involved. She may not be able to take these two guys. So she asked me, she said, well, you okay, baby? I said, well, I'm okay. Right. But I got off anyway. And
that was
my
so
friend.
Heroic.
Right. Well, I should have stayed on the bus. My neighbor got off the bus first.
Okay.
And he went home. He lived right across the street from us. His name was Benny Reeves.
Okay.
And I walked up the driveway, and I tried to pretend like those two guys didn't bother me.
Okay.
But they did.
Oh, yeah.
But make a long story short, I did escape.
Oh, wow.
And so those things helped shape some of the things that I wanted to pursue during my career.
Well, that had to have been very frightening.
Very frightening.
Did you change the way you did anything in the future in terms of...
Well, I didn't go outside for 6 months.
Wow.
But after that, I decided that I couldn't stay in the house.
Okay.
So from that point on, I just, watched out for everything.
Okay. Well, that's understandable. Well, Justice Graves was on the show recently.
Yes.
And he was bragging about how he can burn in the kitchen. What about you? What about your culinary skills?
Well, I think I can give him some competition.
Oh, my goodness.
Very, if I hadn't gone to law school, I would have probably pursued culinary arts.
Are you serious?
I love cooking seafood. I love grilling.
Really?
So I'm very, very good at making different dishes.
Okay, well, you'll make someone very happy one day, I'm sure.
So.
What do you like to do in your downtime?
Downtime, I really like to, if I'm not out fishing or just walking out in the woods, I'm playing with my kids, watching TV.
Yeah.
And I like watching some of the news, and especially what's going on now with the presidential race.
Yeah.
That's very, very interesting, historic.
Very.
And so that's something that I've been following very closely.
Okay, so who is your favorite musical artist?
Wow. There are so many. I used to play in the band at Provine High School.
True. Right.
One particular album that I really, really cherish, it's called Nothing Like the Sun.
Okay.
And it is a group of artists, very good artists.
Oh.
Sting is one of the artists. Wynton Marsalis is another one.
Okay.
And it was one of the first times that a major white musician gave prominent black musicians an opportunity to show that they were very, very extremely talented. Because it was very difficult for certain African Americans to get the attention that they deserved.
Wow.
So they all flew to England.
Okay.
And they made a very, very wonderful album in his home. And that became one of the best-selling albums. And no one knew that the musicians that he used were black musicians.
Wow.
So
that's
that definitely is a very fascinating story, as well as a very good album.
Absolutely. So tell us, what does the future hold for Robert Schuler Smith?
Well, I think right now I want to do a very good job for Hinds County.
Yes.
I want to change the perception of our city, the image of our city as being a dangerous city.
Right.
Because right now we have too much violence going on.
Right.
And we need to make sure that we stay on top of that.
Yes.
Today we got a conviction for murder.
Oh.
And it was a very, very senseless murder. And sad on both sides.
Yeah.
But he had to pay the price for it.
Exactly.
And we have to keep on getting those convictions until the message gets out there that we can't have violence in this city, in this county.
Well, you know what? I think we have certainly taken a step in abating crime by having you as our new district attorney.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And thank you for coming down.
Thank you. I hope to come again.
All right.
Okay.
That wraps up today's show. Tune in every Thursday at 7:30 p.m.